Yeah, it's good to see shooters doing all that type of shit as well, man. It's he's as you said, he's a very, very funny dude, and he still pulls massive crowds when it comes to Melbourne and stuff like that, and people fucking love him. And
so what's when you say a massive crowd? What do you call a massive crowd? What do you call a massive crowd at say the Melbourne International Comedy Festival? What sort of number would you put on that?
Well, my room this year was 350 or 360 people, so I was planning to fill that every night.
And so here's an interesting question: What do you think is more valuable? Is it a one night gig at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival where you fill a room with 350 people and that goes on to what Foxtel and Nine Go or whatever the fuck it is a couple of times, or is it a video on YouTube with 700,000 fucking plays? Because it's an interesting comparison, isn't it? I mean, a room with 350 people is a massive buzz, and you get the television coverage and all that. But 700,000 fucking sets of eyeballs on a video, like I've done videos in the past where, you know, like I can do a video and get 200,000 fucking plays in a day, and you think, say you got 100,000 fucking views, that's the grand final at the MCG.
Absolutely, and that's the biggest day of the year.
Yeah. What do you think is more valuable and why? Discuss.
Well, my biggest crowd that I've had was last year when I filmed my special, and that was at the Enmore Theatre in Sydney, and there was 2,000 people there. That was hectic.
That's massive. Yeah,
like, that was scary to walk out because the sound reverberating throughout the room, the theatre, is it comes within you, and it's fucking it's a terrifying thing, you know. But with Melbourne, and this is how it sort of works, is they've got their several different big marketing and advertising agencies, like managers and shit. And they have their guys that they pick, and they go, okay, this guy's going to be the next big guy, so we think he's the funniest, so he's going to be on. He's going to get this 5-minute spot, and we're going to put him on Channel 10. And that's how it sort of worked for a number of years, and he's going to be on the project next week, and he's going to do this, and they just push him and push him and push him. But very few of these guys, I think Tommy Little is the only one who is an exception. Very few of these guys ever stick around. Very few of them anyone actually likes, and very, very few of them can tour a show. Now, when someone like me puts out a compilation, let's say, which I did 6 months ago, of my most offensive material or something like that. I put that on my.
I think I saw. Was that the one where you said, "What was the?" I was having a beer with two of my brothers, and fucking hell, we roared with. It was. I wish there was something wrong with me, like I was a black person or a woman. Was that the one?
Like I was black or a woman. I love that bit. Dude, that's one of those bits that just turn up, and I just said that one night out of the blue. And it comes, and the thing is, like, I can get away with it because I say it with a smile, and I know it's fucked up. That's why I said it. But that type of shit, like, so that video there, that's got 700,000 views, and it goes for like 15 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Now that sells tickets. So that means I can do a tour of the country, or I can even, and this is what freaked me out at the start, I can travel to Belfast and sell 200 tickets in fucking Belfast, a country I've never been to and I know very, very little about, but there are people there wearing my merch. Whereas you can be on the Channel 10 fucking gala for 50 years and no one gives a shit about you.
Yeah, so it must be a trip to think about the difference between being a stand-up comedian and look, I'm not a comedian. I'm a cunt on the fucking internet. I don't claim to be a comedian, but it must be interesting to sit there and think about the differences between being a stand-up comedian these days versus 20 years ago, because you didn't have any of that.
Massive differences. If you don't have an online presence, you're kicking yourself in the teeth. You're not in the game. You know, you're playing a different sport. And there's so many people in the comedy game in Australia who are so far behind the 8 ball. Like, they look down upon me because I'm on the internet. I'm considered a YouTuber who's pretending to be a comic, whereas, you know, I cut my teeth for 4 years beforehand.
Yeah, that's retarded. That's fucking retarded.
It's a shit attitude, and you're not going to get anywhere with it. And that's why I get defensive about the whole thing. I'm like, you're a fucking dumb cunt. Like, that's all you are. You're an idiot for thinking that, and fuck you. That's my thoughts. Yeah, it's a different time, man. And like, YouTube's an interesting place. It's hard to get your head around because there's so many different avenues and niches that you can follow. And I started out, I was watching you well before I started YouTube, and I was a fan of yours, and I had subscribed to you well before I started YouTube, and you were obviously from that, you played an influence in my content. And there is so much to be gained from becoming a YouTuber, but also it's a difficult space. I mean, I've noticed recently, after the last 3 months, my content has been demonetized constantly, and views have dropped following that as well. It's quite funny to look at the graphs, and you see when the videos started getting demonetized, and the views drop as well. Like, YouTube just doesn't push it, I guess.
And have you noticed recently? I mean, not that we're news people, but recently the CNNs and the NBCs and the Foxes even, they're just pushing these fucking mainstream outlets, and it's almost as if they want YouTube to be a TV channel or a TV outlet or something.
They push the mainstream in to make it more legit. And that's, I get it from a point of view of, they're running a business, they want to run the ads, but you need to look after the people that keep it afloat, the regulars, It's like a pub. It's the regulars.
I mean, it kind of defeats the purpose of YouTube. I mean, if you want to be us tube or them tube or fuck it, some other cunt tube, then be some other cunt tube. But it's YouTube. It was always YouTube.